All right, welcome back to the channel. It's your boy Fanon, and in this video, we're going to talk about one of the best fights coming up in the next 2 months, and that is the huge rematch between Jermell Charlo and Brian Castano. This time, Brian Castano, who believes that he was robbed the last fight, I don't, says that he is doing something special in this one that I don't know if he'll be able to, but let's talk about that in this video. Welcome back to the channel. It's your boy Fanon. Before I get into the subject matter of the video, make sure you guys subscribe to the channel, hit the bell icon, hit all notifications, and also hit the like before you leave the door. Jermell Charlo, the 154-pound WBA, WBC, and IBF champion, will be rematching the WBO champion, Brian Castano, March 19th. I do believe it is going to be in Los Angeles. Go for undisputed at 154 pounds. The rematch is occurring because of a controversial draw that took place in the last fight, where the fight was pretty much a tale of two different fights. One that was going on when the fighters were up against the ropes, and another fight when the fight was in the center of the ring. Many people believe that Jermell Charlo won the fight. A whole lot of people believe that Brian Castano won the fight, including Brian Castano himself, who says for this fight that he is coming out with a different approach to win the fight because he doesn't believe that he can get a decision on the scorecards. And so what he is saying is that he is going in there knowing full well that he has got to go at Jermell Charlo, and he predicts that he is going to knock Jermell Charlo out during this rematch. Now, the thing that this reminds me of is, because most people are going to come out and say there's no way that Brian Castano is going to knock out Jermell Charlo in this rematch, and it reminds me of the Deontay Wilder fight versus Tyson Fury, where they had a draw the first fight. Tyson Fury says, you know, in order to get a decision, he's going to have to come out and do something different. He comes out and he knocks out Deontay Wilder, and he knocks out Deontay Wilder in the third fight. All of the drama associated with his gloves and all that to the side. As soon as I heard Brian Castano say that, that's the first thing that came to my mind, because and I will tell you that I do not think that this is something that is well, let me put it this way. If that is what he is trying to do, somebody in that fight is going to get knocked out for sure. It's either going to be Jermell Charlo or it is going to be Brian Castano. One of the two of those dudes are going to get knocked out. As far as it being Brian Castano, I do not believe that he's going to be able to do that. However, I will tell you something that I did notice in the first fight that I didn't think would be the case. He actually was able to rock Jermell Charlo in an exchange one time and really did, you know, buckle him up against the rope. So Brian Castano definitely has enough strength in his punches to hurt Jermell Charlo, and I think that that may have had something to do with why Jermell Charlo was reluctant really to let his hands go when he was up against those ropes, because, you know, he didn't want to get caught again, right? And so, you know, when Brian Castano comes into this second fight, Brian Castano is probably going to be a lot more confident, is going to be a lot more aggressive. And when he's confident and aggressive, he lets his hand go, he may be able to catch Jermell Charlo with something. Now, on the other hand, on the other side of that same thing is that Brian Castano, even by his own admission, got hurt by Jermell Charlo. And if he's opening up in the middle of the ropes, if he's opening up in the middle of the ring where Jermell Charlo can take a step back and take a step to the side more easily, then he really does open up the possibility that he himself gets knocked out, which I would suspect, you know, is the better chance. However, you know, what my take on it is that I don't see a knockout coming in this particular fight. But I will tell you that the fact that that fight is going to be in LA, and after what happened in the first fight, where a lot of people got behind Brian Castano and thought Brian Castano won that fight, depending on what the makeup of that crowd is out there in LA, you may hear significantly more cheers, raucous cheers for Brian Castano, and Brian Castano may get more of the benefit of the doubt from the announcers and everybody around there. And, because so many people thought that Brian Castano won the first fight between the two. So, his aggression, while Brian Castano thinks that, he needs to get a knockout to win because he doesn't know what the judges will do to get him, get him a shot, in order for him to get the decision. Because he said he said he won like he said he either won 7 or 8 rounds of that fight. My personal belief is no, you need to be happy. He won a good part of that fight in the beginning of the fight, and then Jermell Charlo took over in the middle part of the fight, and then the fight got closer again towards the end of the fight. But there was round after round after round that Jermell Charlo was putting in the bank. And what I think is most likely going to happen in this next fight is that Jermell Charlo is going to start putting rounds in the bank from the very beginning of the fight, keep Brian Castano keep himself off of the ropes, and keep that fight in the middle of the ring, and also sit down on his punches a little bit more, probably use more of a jab to the body, a scoring jab to the body, a la Errol Spence Jr., in order to, wear down and open up the guard of Brian Castano. But, all in all, man, I'm telling you, I'm really, really excited about this fight. And the months of March, April, May is starting to look really, really, really solid, man. You got the Errol Spence Jr. fight that they're saying, with Yordenis Ugas should be taking place in April. We got definitely going to have a Canelo Alvarez fight, hopefully a Canelo Alvarez versus Jermell Charlo fight in May. You got this fight with Jermell Charlo for Undisputed against Brian Castano in March. It's just really, it's really starting to look up as far as the quality of the fights that are going. Also, you're going to have that Gervonta Davis, Rolly Romero fight going on. So it's just looking like the year is starting to formulate pretty well. And these are some really, really good fights, man. I didn't like the fact that it had a draw the first time, but at least this time, it allows us to have a second fight. And I wouldn't be surprised if if it's a really close fight, that they may not run it back a third time. But as far as the prediction of him knocking out Jermell Charlo, he's going to really have to bring something extra to the table to make sure that he does that. I'm not sure how he's going to do that, because that's going to mean he's going to have to fight and open up more in the middle of the ring. And one of the things about the way that Brian Castano fought Jermell is it was very similar in my recollection to the way that Isaac Cruz fought Gervonta Davis, where, when he's in the middle of the ring and he's coming forward, he's really tucked up underneath a guard, which allows Gervonta Davis to score points just by jabbing him, in the perception of a lot of people, right? Jabbing him to the stomach. Even if he's hitting him on his gloves and on his hands and his elbow, he's more active and throwing combination punches and all that when the guy is coming forward. And then he only did his work when he was up against the ropes. And so it didn't work for Isaac Cruz. It didn't work for Brian Castano. They're going to have to go out there and mix it up more in the middle of the ring, in my opinion, for Brian Castano to pull that fight out. But I'm looking forward to it anyway it goes. Hey, you let me know what you think in the comment section. Do you think that Brian Castano can pull out the knockout, or is it going to be Jermell Charlo by knockout or decision? What do you guys think? Anyway, that's my take on the matter. You let me know what you think in the comment section. And with that, I'm out. Peace.